Hey guys! Today I have 3 braided hairstyles for you in varying degrees of difficulty that you can do if you just want to try out something new with your hair. So before we get started, I do want to say I am currently wearing 2 strips of hair extensions just so that these braids translate a little bit better on camera. You don't need any hair extensions, but just so you know, some wefts may pop through. But let's get started with the first hairstyle straight away, and it's going to be a little bit of a half updo, I guess. I always feel like those are really pretty, flattering and cute. So for that I am going to start right here at the front of my head, and I do actually want to keep my bangs out, I think, in this hairstyle. So you can decide if you don't have bangs whether you'd like a little bit of hair to frame your face or whether you want to start with the front of your hair and just incorporate everything. But I'm gonna separate this into 3 sections, and I am going to start braiding. I'm gonna braid under like a Dutch braid, and now whenever I come to the top, I'm gonna take a little bit of hair, add it to the outer strand, and braid it under. So I'm essentially just gonna lace braid. I'm gonna lace braid all the way back. So I just keep adding little pieces of hair to the strand that's on top while I make my way back down my head. So when I reach about ear level, I've kind of passed that, I'm gonna stop adding hair and just finish my braid as it is. So when I've reached my ends, I'm gonna tie this off with a little hair elastic. And then I'm just gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. When I have my 2 braids, I'm just gonna turn around so you can see what I'm doing from the back here. I am going to gather maybe like the top half of my hair, and I'm going to separate that into 3 sections. And now each of the outer sections I'm going to add one of these small braids that I've just made. So one there, and one here. And now I'm just simply going to start braiding this. And while I braid, I'm going to try and make sure that these braids are on the top of the strand so that you can actually see them. And then eventually I'm gonna stop making sure that they're visible so that I can actually hide the ends and the hair elastic. So I'm just gonna finish this braid. So now I'm going to start fluffing this braid up in a way that it becomes progressively wider as you come closer to the top. So I actually want to make sure that these sections right here are super big and wide, and then they get smaller as you come closer to the bottom. So something I always recommend doing when you're doing your own hair is just taking a second mirror and checking how everything looks from the back. So we can do way more fluffing on this braid here. And there is the hairstyle all done. So you have 2 little braids going down the front, combining into one big braid in the back. It is really simple to do, pretty basic hairstyle, but I feel like it looks really, really cute. The next hairstyle is going to be a crown braid. Now, crown braids used to be my thing back in the day when I just started doing YouTube, and I have a bunch of videos on how to do crown braids, but today I'm gonna do kind of like a cheat version, I guess, because the whole kind of completely round braiding thing is pretty difficult. Today's version is going to be much simpler, so we're actually going to do it in 2 parts. So I'm going to start right at the front here. Again, I think I'm going to leave my bangs out. If you wanted to incorporate your bangs, or if you don't have any bangs, just start right at the center of your head. And I am going to start Dutch braiding again. So I'm going to do 1 round of braiding. Then I'm going to add a little bit of hair from the hairline and a little bit of hair from the center. And go again. Now I'm gonna make sure when I'm braiding that I follow my hairline, so I try to keep an even distance so that I get a nice circle in the end. Okay, so once I reach the center, kind of the back of my head, nape of my neck, I'm gonna stop here and just finish this braid as a regular braid. So I'm gonna just continue all the way down. I am going to start a second braid, but for the sake of the kind of continuation of the braid, we do need to make sure that it is going in the same direction. So we are actually going to braid up. And normally for upside down braiding, I would advise you to flip your head over, just braid upside down like that. It's a lot easier. But in this case, I don't think we want that, because we need to make sure that this hair in the back is laying flat. I feel like that looks the nicest, and that's pretty hard to achieve when you are braiding upside down. So I am actually just going to, let me show you what I'm doing here. Take a section of hair from here. Now this definitely is a little bit more difficult to do. I feel like this requires a bit of practice, or at least some braiding skills. But as always, my biggest tip when braiding is don't look at it, just try to feel what you're doing and make sure that everything feels right. It's much easier to kind of get a hold of what you're doing when you're just feeling it out rather than trying to look at it. Once you run out of hair, just gonna finish the braid. Alright, so we have our two braids. Now, to make this a lot easier, of course you could just do two braids that are braided down, but in that case I feel like it is less of a crown braid and more of like a milkmaid braid hairstyle. Of course it's up to you. If you can't do the upside down braid, then by all means just do two braids going down. But let's move on to the next step. So for that I am going to fluff up this braid, you probably guessed it. I'm gonna make sure this is nice and big and voluminous and just a little bit more modern looking. If you would rather skip this step, feel free to do so. There's a charm in tight braids as well. I just personally prefer these kind of bigger, fluffier braids. Alright, so next up we just want to connect these two braids. So for the one that's going up, I am going to pull it over the front of my head, and then I'm gonna pin it down right behind this other braid that I have, just using a couple of bobby pins. And then for the braid that's below, I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm gonna pin that behind this braid. And there you have it, a super beautiful crown braid that's just that little bit easier to do than the classic version. The next style is a super simple beginner's braid. Everyone can do this. So I'm gonna start with a high ponytail. I'm gonna grab myself a hair elastic and I'm gonna just gather all of my hair on top of my head. I'm gonna try and make this nice and sleek. And now here's a tip I shared a few years ago, but if you actually tilt your head back a little bit when you make your ponytail, you're not gonna get that kind of sack of hair that you sometimes get when you try and make a tight ponytail. So I'm just gonna tilt my head back a little bit while I fasten this. Ta-da! Super tight back. Alright, now I am going to add my extensions back in for this, just because I want a nice thick braid. If you have thick hair of yourself, you don't need that. But if you do want to wear extensions, I'm going to show you a little trick on how you can kind of incorporate them into a braid like this. If you try to use the clips of hair extensions on a ponytail, I feel like it's really hard to make that work. So what I actually like to do is to take a bobby pin and use that to fasten it. So I'm actually just going to lay this strip against the base of my ponytail here. I'm going to take my bobby pin and I'm going to poke it through the weft and then into just right underneath that hair elastic. So that way it's nice and flat, it's nice and secure, won't slide off. So I'm going to wrap the ponytail around and do the same thing at the end. I'm going to take the bobby pin, pop it through the weft and straight into the ponytail. So I'm going to do 2 strips again. So then I am going to take a little strip of hair from the bottom right here, and I'm just going to wrap that around the base of my ponytail really quickly, just to hide any of the wefts that are showing. Just gives a bit of a cleaner look. So pin that using a bobby pin again. Alright, so now we can move on with the actual hairstyle, and it is super simple. I am just going to divide this whole ponytail into 3 sections and create a nice simple little braid. Now for a hairstyle like this, I do prefer the braid to be nice and sleek, so I'm not going to do any fluffing up. I am actually going to take a little bit of hairspray. I'm going to take a nice glossy hairspray, and I'm just going to spray all of these little hairs that are just flying everywhere. I'm going to force them down into the hairstyle. And there is this hairstyle done as well. Super simple, super quick to do, but a real classic in my opinion, and one that is often forgotten about. So those are the 3 braided hairstyles I wanted to share with you today. I really hope you try some of them out if you're feeling adventurous. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for loads more beauty and lifestyle content. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, there's a link in the description box below. Thank you so much for your support. There's another video here that you may also enjoy, you can go watch next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!